Why do you think white men, for the most part, not all, not all, not all, but most, why do you think why do you think they don't speak up? Why do you
Mhm.
think they are afraid to say, "Hey, I'm not your problem. I'm not your enemy. I'm not
Right.
all these races and all that crap. You're responsible for yourself." Why
Mhm.
don't white men speak up about those things?
I think a lot of it is that they've been emasculated to a degree that is probably unprecedented in human history. So if you think about white European men, um, they used to have all these values and these virtues that they were fighting for. They were fighting for women that were raising their families and those virtuous women that
Right.
were doing all these things for them. They were fighting for their country that they cared deeply about. They were fighting for their God. And what has happened, especially in America, is that those things, those value systems, those pillars of these men have been destroyed one by one until all that is left is a man's hedonism and his drive to pleasure himself at that exact moment. I think that women are the same way. Like we're not a value driven society
Yeah.
anymore. And so in the absence of those things, um, why bother rocking the boat? I mean, why would you put yourself out there for your reputation to be destroyed, to be called racist or anything like that, if you just don't care about upholding any of these things anymore? I mean, these people aren't religious; they're largely atheistic. They're drinking and smoking weed all the time, and then the women that they're pursuing are, you know, sluts, and they're not the makings of like a good mom. So what is there to fight for? Like, why would they come out and be like, let's make peace, let's find ways to, they just want to kind of be under this leftist cloak of imperviousness where they aren't being attacked by people and they can kind of just do their day-to-day thing.
What a slut. You know, what a slut. You you were over in Europe, traveling over Europe, and I've
Mm.
seen several reports of where the Muslim, the Allah Akbar people coming into that country as well, and they are attacking white women, raping them,
Mhm.
killing them, and the white men over there, are they afraid to protect the women over there as they are over here?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Um, and I used to be so much more unsympathetic towards the Muslim position. I can't even believe that I've become sympathetic towards Muslims in the last few years because I was just full of vitriolic rage and hatred when I started my YouTube channel. But when I see the value systems of Muslim countries, I mean, I know that they're like real Stone Age, but they are right on some of these some of these things. And I'm really struggling right now with how to reconcile the way I used to feel about Muslims and Muslim men and how it's becoming more appealing to me because the Western world is completely out of control. And so that element of even staunch patriarchy, I'm starting to think like maybe they're onto something.
Like what, for an example?
I don't want to be veiled or anything like that, but uh they do to some degree protect a woman's chastity. And I think in our society that is a value that's become totally lost. They clearly take it too far. But there has to be some happy medium between veiling women and not
Yeah.
letting them go outside the house or do anything like that. And then this total free for all that we have here in the West. So I'm not saying we should adopt Muslim values, but like, can we nudge ourselves like a little bit in
Yeah.
that direction? Like just a little bit? I
Well,
don't
it
know.
used to be that way in this country when, in the good old days, where women had a sense of self control and men were the head of the women and they just
Right.
wouldn't go out being sluts. And it was that way at one time, but that has
Yeah.
changed now because of the so
Mhm.
called women's movement, women's
Right.
lib, and all that crap. And they
What a
have convinced
disaster.
women that they need to be educated and they can be just like a man. So it's gone totally out of control, but the women are suffering
Oh
as a
yeah.
result of not being protected in that way.
Mhm. Right. And then we're going to move back to that mentality. And we're seeing it now where women are demanding the protection of men. But we have no right to do that because we're not making the same offerings to men that we used to make.
Yeah.
And you can only demand the protection of men when you're offering them your chastity, when you're offering them your abilities as a mother, when you're offering the things that men cannot do to a relationship. So, long-term fidelity and things like that, and submission, which is a huge problem for me. And I think that younger women um, should try to learn how to be more dutiful. It's not really been easy for me.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that.